Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the English podcast with Mandy and Mark. I'm Mandy, and I'm so glad you're here with us today to improve your English skills.
And I'm Mark. Today, we're going to tackle a common situation that many English learners might find a little nerve-wracking: ordering food at a restaurant. Don't worry, we'll equip you with all the phrases you need to dine out with confidence.
That's right. By the end of this episode, you'll be able to walk into any restaurant and order like a pro. We'll be covering everything from getting a table to understanding the menu and even asking for the bill. Make sure you stay until the end, where we'll have some fun exercises to test your understanding.
Absolutely. So, whether you're planning a trip abroad or simply want to brush up on your English for everyday situations, this episode is for you. Let's get started.
Ordering food at a restaurant can seem intimidating at first, especially in a foreign language. But it's all about breaking down the process into manageable steps, right?
Exactly. It starts with getting a table. You can simply walk in and ask, "Table for two, please," or "Do you have any tables available?" If you have a reservation, you can say, "I have a reservation under the name."
Right, and once you're seated and have the menu, don't be afraid to take your time browsing through it. If you have any questions or need recommendations, feel free to ask the server. They're there to help.
Absolutely. You can ask things like, "What's your most popular dish?" Or "Could you tell me more about this dish?" It's a great way to learn about the menu and make sure you order something you'll enjoy.
Definitely. I always like to ask about the chef specials or if there are any seasonal dishes available. It's fun to try something new.
Me too. And when you're ready to order, you can simply say, "I'll have the," or "I'd like to order the." Remember to be clear and polite.
Yes, and don't forget about drinks. You can ask for a specific drink, like, "Can I get a glass of water?" or browse the beverage menu for other options.
And what about if you have any dietary restrictions? It's important to communicate those clearly as well.
Absolutely. You can say, "I'm allergic to," or "I don't eat." Most restaurants are very accommodating these days and can offer alternatives.
That's good to know. So, once you've finished your meal, how do you ask for the bill?
You can simply catch the server's eye and say, "Could we have the bill, please?" or "Check, please." It's usually that straightforward.
And if you're splitting the bill, you can let them know when you ask for it. Simple as that.
Exactly. Ordering at a restaurant is all about communicating your needs clearly and politely. And remember, it's okay to make mistakes. Everyone is learning.
Definitely. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become. Who knows, you might even find yourself enjoying the experience and trying out new restaurants.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe one day we'll bump into some of our listeners at a restaurant and they can impress us with their English skills.
That would be fantastic. We'd love to see our listeners using the language confidently in real-life situations.
Well, Mark, are you ready to dive into some vocabulary that will help our listeners order food like natives?
Absolutely. I'm starving for some new English words and phrases. Let's dig in.
Okay, everyone, it's time to break down some of the key vocabulary we used in that conversation. Make sure to take notes, or even better, write down these words and phrases in a vocabulary notebook so you can review them later.
Great idea. Mandy, I'll start us off. The first word is reservation. A reservation is an arrangement you make in advance to have a table saved for you at a restaurant. For example, you might say, "I have a reservation for 7 p.m. under the name Smith."
Excellent, Mark. Next, let's talk about browsing. When you browse a menu, you take your time looking through all the options. You can say, "I'm just browsing the menu for now, thank you."
That's a good one, Mandy. Another important phrase is chef special. The chef special is a dish that the chef recommends or is known for. It's often something unique or seasonal.
Right on, Mark. And how about dietary restrictions? These are specific requirements you have for your food, such as allergies or preferences. For example, you might say, "I have a dietary restriction. I'm allergic to peanuts."
Great explanation, Mandy. And finally, let's talk about splitting the bill. This means dividing the cost of the meal equally among everyone at the table. You can ask, could we split the bill, please?
Fantastic, Mark. We covered a lot of useful vocabulary today. Hopefully, our listeners are feeling more confident about ordering food in English.
All right, listeners. Now that we've gone over some essential vocabulary, it's time to put your listening skills to the test. I'm going to ask a few questions about our conversation, so get ready to type your answers in the comments below. Don't be shy. Everyone learns by participating.
That sounds fun, Mark. Let's see what our listeners remember. Go ahead and ask the first question.
Okay, question number 1. What are some ways to ask for a table at a restaurant?
Great question. And for question number 2, how can you ask the server for recommendations from the menu?
Good one, Mandy. Moving on to question number 3. When ordering, how do you specify that you want the chef special?
Okay, listeners, for question number 4, how do you politely let the server know about your dietary restrictions?
Excellent question, Mandy. And finally, question number 5. What are 2 different ways to ask for the bill at the end of your meal?
Those were some excellent questions, Mark. I hope our listeners were paying attention and are ready to share their answers in the comments.
That was a delicious episode. We covered a lot of ground today, from basic greetings and introductions to ordering food and asking for the bill.
We did. Remember, practice makes perfect. Don't be afraid to use your English skills in real-life situations, even if you're a little nervous at first.
Absolutely. The more you use English, the more confident you'll become. And who knows, you might even surprise yourself with how much you've learned.
That's all the time we have for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining us on the English podcast with Mandy and Mark. We hope you found this episode helpful and informative. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more English learning content. And be sure to leave us a comment below. We love hearing from our listeners. Until next time, happy learning.